Good evening, Aces. Welcome back to the channel. Hope that all of you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. So, Mary Cosby has been really open and transparent about her son and his addiction. You guys remember the episode where she goes in and she talks with him, on the bed. And I remember even that episode where he was on the bed with, I think it was his wife or his fiance, and you could just tell that they were just like completely gone. The room was a mess. They were like had snacks and stuff in the bed. It was like the middle of the day. It was crazy. But she said that, he had got into rehab. He's looking better there. Well, unfortunately, a lot of times when it comes to addiction and struggles with substance use and abuse, it's not just a one and done thing. And so I'm hoping that he hasn't relapsed, but Mary Cosby, her son, has been arrested for assault and trespassing. So let's go ahead and get into this TMZ article. It says Mary Cosby's son, Robert Jr., has found himself in hot water with the law again. We've learned that he's been arrested for a number of crimes, alleged crimes, including assault and trespassing. According to an arrest report, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star, her only child, was arrested just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, Saturday for failure to stop at the command of a law enforcement officer, criminal trespassing, assault, and 3 alleged violations of a court order. Per the report, local police responded to a domestic violence call after Robert Jr. allegedly tried to break into his father in law's home via a dog door and assaulted someone on the front line. Robert Jr. allegedly failed to get on the ground when ordered to do so by the responding police officer before eventually complying and being taken into custody. Bail has been set at $5,000. This is the latest set of legal troubles in Robert Jr.'s case. He was previously arrested in 2022 for a DUI, where cops said that he didn't have a license and he disobeyed traffic laws. He ended up pleading guilty to the DUI, resulting in the other charges being dropped. However, the saga didn't stop there, with Robert Jr. finding himself back in court after he allegedly failed to prove that he completed a court-ordered rehab stay. Though Mary previously said on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City during the reunion that Robert Jr. did attend a rehabilitation program and that he was doing good. So remember, Mary opened up about her son's struggles on the Bravo series, having a viral heart-to-heart with her son in season 5, where she begged her son to be honest with her about his issues. However, during Wednesday's appearance on the Sirius XM's show Reality Checked, she hinted that Robert Jr. was struggling with substance abuse issues again, noting that her husband, Robert Sr., was devastated by their son's battle. She added, I can only push him, encourage him, and love him, and that's what I'm doing. That's kind of where we are, but he's still on that road, and it's a hardcore road. So my heart goes out to Mary because I can only imagine, how difficult it must be for her and her husband to watch her only son have such a difficult struggle with substance abuse. I don't know if you guys watched The View or not, but yesterday they were talking about Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen, his father, had called the U.S. Marshals to come get Charlie and put him away. And the ladies were actually split at the table. So Joy Behart, she said that being an Italian mother, she would never call the police on her son. And then Sunny, who you guys remember, she was a federal prosecutor. She said, as an Afro-Latina mother, I could never do that either. She is part of not law enforcement, but she was a federal prosecutor for many years. She prosecuted essay crimes in New York, but just even her being a lawyer, she's like, I could never call the police on my children. Where Alyssa and Sarah Haynes said the opposite. So Alyssa said that her sister actually is dealing with her own struggles with addiction and substance use, And she said that her parents actually did allow her to hit rock bottom and, get go to jail, and that's how she began her journey to sobriety. And Sarah said the same thing. She's actually from the Midwest. She's from Iowa, which I think is near Utah. And she said that she doesn't call it tough love. She calls it love love. Her kids, I think she has like three, and they're pretty small. But she said that she would allow, the cops to take her kids away if any of them ever had issues with substance abuse. Um, Whoopi Goldberg, on the other hand, she said that she was close to the Sheen family, being in the Hollywood circle, and she said that she was an addict herself. And she said that she knew that the Martin Sheen and his family had tried everything that they could before they called the U.S. Marshals on Charlie, because Charlie's promoting his book, and he said that it felt like it was a betrayal by his father. That's why they did the segment. But Whoopi was saying that to Joy and Sunny, she's like, I've been an addict, um, and she said that they can just basically tell you what you want to hear. Like, oh, I'll get clean this time, so and so. And it's heartbreaking, you know what I mean? Because with anything, you really can't help someone unless they want to help themselves. Um, Him going through the dog door, that's telling right there in and of itself. And Utah has got a whole lot going on. I mean, between the whole Charlie, Kirk situation, which that whole thing was just largely unfortunate. But even with Mary Cosby, and her son Robert Jr., it's heartbreaking. I really truly hope that he is able to, they can get him back into a rehabilitation center, because it from what I understand, and what I hear, I don't know that much about going back and forth to rehab, but for a lot of people, it takes more than one time. And so hopefully, he can go to maybe like a different one, but that it will work this time. Because the last thing you want to do is, have your child um, out there in the streets struggling, essentially. So it's heartbreaking, though. And I wish, her family all the best. I hope that um, that he's able to turn his life around. Like he has so much potential. I always wonder, and I mean, this is just me thinking out loud. Like I said, especially after Utah has been in the news, and just how isolating it must be for Mary and Robert Jr. Because after this whole Charlie Kirk situation happened yesterday, today all of these, I think it's like it was up to 9 if I'm not mistaken. It was like Spelman and Morehouse, and just all these different HBCUs have gotten viable B threats. I can't say the word, but B threats. So they had to essentially evacuate and shut down. I think one was in Alabama. And it's just, it's heartbreaking, because it's like, first of all, there are no, HBCUs in Utah, okay, which is where um, Charlie's, demise happened. But that had nothing to do with Black people. And so I'm always, thinking, I had a friend of mine who I went to undergrad with, but she went to law school in Utah. And, she would be open about just how the situation was largely different. But she stayed the course. She did what she had to do, and she graduated and passed the bar. And now she's a lawyer. But I wonder if Mary could possibly, Mary and her husband, Robert Sr., if they've ever thought about it, and it wouldn't even have to be like full time, but possibly, getting him around, a different demographic or a change of scenery might be helpful for him. Um, because from what I understand about just the culture, in a lot of places in Utah, it's very much, you know, Mormonism, which has they teach really harmful doctrines about Black people in general. You know, it's not a favorable place to be if you're a person of color, especially if you're a young Black man. So that was just something I was thinking. Maybe, they can come to DC for a while, or, Atlanta, or just, like I said, just a nice change of scenery, get him around some different people, a mentorship. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please lift the Cosby family up in prayer and hope that, Robert Jr. can just, turn his life around and get on the straight and narrow. So I'll talk with you guys later. Take care, Aces. Bye.